Hello, everybody. Renzo here. I found this beautiful photograph and I love the light and the shadows. And it's not like completely clear, but we can notice warm light and a cool shadow. That's going to be pretty difficult to paint. Pretty amazing to paint that today. Kind of difficult always. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. The colors I have here are titanium white, cadmium yellow light, cadmium red, alizarin crimson, burnt sienna, raw umber, ultramarine blue, and ivory black. Okay. Let's see. Hello, Michael. 1 second, I'm just trying to see everything here on my screen. The photograph and YouTube. Okay, I think I got everything here. Okay. Let's start mixing the colors. Oh, let's start drawing. I'm gonna use willow charcoal to draw. Okay. First, I'm just gonna place the whole head on my canvas. Something pretty simple to see the size of the whole face on my canvas. If I should move it a bit more to the left or right, okay, up or down. Okay, I think that's good. Now I'm gonna just draw the center line of the face. For that, you can just use something to like this to check out, you know, how tilted is the face, and you place the center line of the face. Then you you measure the proportions. Remember that the eyes are halfway from the bottom to the bottom of the head to the top, and then once you have one line for the eyes, you trace one more line up that you see that is kind of okay for the eyebrows. You got this one, you got this one. Split that in two, you got the nose. Split this in two, you got the bottom of the mouth. That means that you place the mouth here, you place the nose here, one eye here, and one eye here. Okay? Now, one thing I know for sure that placing the nose and the mouth is going to be kind of easier, but the eyes are going to be the thing that maybe we got one eye more to the right or to the left. Okay, as we just continue drawing, what I would recommend is use a mirror. But take a picture and flip it, and then you're gonna see when something is off, especially on the eyes. Okay, and another thing that we can do and we have to do, let's say, is measuring. We could measure from the corner of one eye to the corner of the other eye and compare with the height. Okay. Another thing, alignments, vertical alignments. For example, I see that the corner of the mouth is kind of aligned with the iris. It's like that. Okay. And maybe the corner of the mouth on the left side is aligned with the tear duct. Yeah, looks like it is. Yeah. Okay. As a medium, I use linseed oil. Oh, hello, Pawan Kumar. Hello, another person. Hello, Gary. Hello, Catherine. Welcome, everybody. Oh, Gary is asking me what's the size of the head on my canvas. Let me see if I have something to measure. Oh, No, but let's say that's gonna be like what? Uh, like 6 inches? Yeah, that would be something like 6 inches, the whole head. I got here raw umber. I'm gonna use it for drawing with a little bit of linseed oil. I got this value scale here. That helps on measuring. Look at the size of the value scale. Look at the size of the head. Look at the size of my hand. And the head is kind of small because otherwise that's gonna be more difficult for me to try to paint as much as possible in just one session. Okay, let's see, I'm gonna just draw the eyebrows. And I squinting down my eyes. One thing that I see pretty clearly is this here. Okay, do you see that? This angle there. Okay, eyebrow here. Nose here. Okay. At the same time, this whole shape. Okay. Let's see. I continue down and I see I kind of trying to connect in shapes, simple shapes. This here, and then I move down here. Squinting down my eyes, I see this. Okay, got that shape, this shape, and now here. And at the same time that I'm gonna try to draw this shadow, I'm drawing this here, and I'm seeing the light here. The shape of the light, the shape of the shadow. Just trying to simplify it as a simple, pretty simple, just a flat shape. Okay. Let me see if I think I should paint it a bit bigger. Okay, top of the head here, bottom. Maybe a bit bigger. No. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's continue painting. Let's see if I'm gonna paint a bit, and then I'm gonna see if I can make it a bit bigger. Okay, I need to paint the eye a bit darker. Now the mouth. As you can see, I'm just trying to keep everything pretty simple. At this stage, the face, we should see the face something flat. Imagine that you pick up pieces of paper and you just cut it and you paste it on top, and you're trying to match this shape here, this shape here, and the same this shape. If you imagine that, it's gonna be easier to see or to try to calculate the width and the height of this shape. Sometimes we got overwhelmed just trying to copy a nose, but first it's gonna be a shape, always a shape. You know, that's one thing that every painter it's gonna tell you. Just let's say that's the way we try to see everything. Just pretty simple. Okay, I got the head. Yeah. Now I'm gonna mix some colors. Now for me on this stage it's gonna be more difficult to spend a lot of time trying to match the colors that I see on the photograph. And what I do again is trying to keep it pretty simple. To paint the face, and then I got the face painted with simple values. Then I'm gonna make adjustments, but I want a color that's gonna just put me pretty close. The simple color I can just think of, the simple mixture is gonna be burnt sienna and white. And then obviously we're gonna see differences with the skin color. But I just think that you need something to put you really close, and then you're gonna add more paint, because we're not gonna paint a face just with 3 values. We're gonna need to add more and more colors. Yeah, but this is something that we gotta think always. Just simple values. The second one I'm mixing here is burnt sienna and white too. Obviously more burnt sienna. You can add a touch of ultramarine blue, just a tiny touch to make it darker. Okay, I got 2 values, and now I need one more here. This we need to make it slightly variation from this one. Burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, white. I'm gonna add a touch of alizarin crimson. Okay, I think I added too much alizarin crimson. If that happens to you, you can just pick up the mixture, put it apart, and then add more of the other colors. I'm gonna add more blue, touch of white. Yeah, this is the color that I was looking for. Kind of a cool color. It looks like a violish color. Now, one thing, this thing is gonna happen to all of us. You're gonna think that this mixture is too dark. Okay, and what happens mostly that it's not that dark, but you need to see with the other colors, not here on the palette, on the painting. Now, the palette is the first tool that you gotta respect. One value, the other one darker, the other one darker. And here you can change the temperature of the colors. Yeah, because burnt sienna and white, you're gonna have a warmer color. No matter what, it's gonna be just a warmer color. Okay? The other one, you add blue and alizarin crimson, you're gonna get a cool color. Cool color, remember, is a color that's closer to blue, closer to purple. Yeah. Hello, Mark. Hello, Judith Shimar. Udit Shimar. How to create small size faces? Please make a video on that. Also with full body. Oh yeah, I cannot paint full body here. Just first, I don't know, you'll see my setup. Here's my camera. My face is here. I'm pretty close to my camera. That's the best setup I have, because I used to place my camera to the right, but not seeing the camera is kind of for a second I forget about the camera, and I remember seeing the videos, the recordings, and my head was blocking completely the painting. The best way to show the painting is having this here. That means that would be the only size of painting that I could paint. Maybe a bit bigger. I painted bigger paintings, bigger portraits, but no more than that. Yeah. Planning to paint different things, different subjects. And for that, I'm planning to place my camera to my right, like a lot to the right, in order to don't block the view of the painting. But that's not gonna be about portraits. It's gonna be about more how can I say it? But as a painter, you know, you're gonna find yourself painting a lot of subjects. And I used to paint, okay, for example, to explain it, because I found just a sketch that I have of a painting, and I wanna just redo it again. There was a woman sitting, full body, sitting with holding a door. On the back, it was a photographer, just like taking a picture, and the photographer, it was kind of a vanishing with the background, and it was dressed as a clown, just pointing the camera to the viewer. Okay, and I just planning to paint that. Definitely, I have to paint that bigger. Well, those are the kind of works that I used to paint and offer here in my country on art galleries. I remember I used to paint pretty late at night because that's, if I stream those, that I'm planning to do that, that would be maybe 3-4 hours live streams. Okay, I got one color. You got one color. You gotta trust on the process, not on what you see. Because what I see here, I see something that doesn't look like the skin color at all. But I know that I have burnt sienna and white. And burnt sienna is just dark orange. And a dark orange with white is gonna give me a color that's gonna look like a skin color. Obviously, I gotta think that, obviously I gotta just plan ahead. I'm gonna just paint this skin color on top of this a little bit orangey, yellowish, warmer, you know, pinkier. But right now it's a skin color. And if you don't see it on your canvas, you gotta trust on the color itself that you got here, more in what you see it. What you see is the result of the contrast with the canvas. That could be white, in my case it's orangey. Okay. And it's more about knowing the color than believing your eyes. Kind of tricky, but when you practice, just think that it's just one more painting every practice. Okay, just one more painting. You gotta just trust the process, and if you're mixing, let's say, orange and white, you know what color you're getting. But if you're painting and you see that the color doesn't look like the color you were expecting, just wait and paint everything else. And then after that, you can just think that you're gonna be able to make a lot of adjustments, changing the color, make it darker, make it lighter. Now, one thing that I'm thinking right now that I want to share, maybe it's too early on the process, but that's what I'm thinking. As soon as I see the face, and even that I see that everything is flat here, I'm thinking about anatomy. Okay, I'm gonna just mix an even warmer color here. Okay, I'm thinking about that the eye, that is a sphere, the nose, the cheekbone, and just adding these landmarks on my painting just to share. And I painted this flat, and I'm just thinking how I'm gonna get this rounded form. And as soon as I get into this area, I was thinking, okay, I gotta see this like this, yeah? That shape that I used to see. And what about the globella here? It's gonna be like a little bit darker. Just wanted to share what I was thinking. You know, we paint, but we paint what we see, eh? But our brain is thinking about the things that you know, or let's say the things that you know that you're gonna study, pay attention to, all those things. Okay, a cool color here. Let's see how cool this looks next to the other one. Okay, the color of the nose, I already got this color that I painted with raw umber. I want to clean that because it's gonna get mixed with my cool color. Okay, I got these tools. That's for a sculpture. Looks like rubber. I don't know. I don't remember the name. Sorry. But these things are pretty easy to find everywhere. Every art store. Okay. I know that these tools, these things are for sculpture. Look at that. Look at that. And just I bought them because I just saw them in the store. I saw them for $2, a set of 6 different shapes, and I thought, wow. The first thing I thought that I could use that as an eraser, but I wasn't sure, and it was just $2, something new that I didn't even know if I could use it. But I think you all know that when you go to an art store, you get closer to something, and if it's in sale, maybe you're gonna buy it. Yeah. Okay. Hello, Tornik. How do you preserve the excess paint after the session? Yeah, you know what? Since I paint kind of every day, and I usually move the paintings from this painting to the next. Yeah? Yesterday I painted this one here. Maybe I painted this one here, and some of the colors, I took some of the paint that is here and put it on the new palette. Yeah? And I keep doing that, moving the colors from one canvas to the other one. Yeah. Okay, and sometimes they end up on my bigger palette that I have to paint my bigger paintings, let's say. Okay, now I got this cool color. Yeah, in order to see the real value of this color, oops, I see a couple of hairs. Wow, yeah. I need to just paint the hair. I'm gonna use raw umber and blue to get a really dark color here. Okay, I'm painting this, and now I'm gonna be able to compare the value and see if the color is cool enough, or I need to mix maybe more ultramarine blue and alizarin crimson. Okay, I gotta wait just until my eyes got used to see those, and at the same time I need to paint the background. Now, one thing that I noticed just right away is that the shadow here is not dark enough. I need to darken up the shadow. Okay, but let's continue. No, burnt sienna. That's gonna be one color that would be pretty nice for the hair. Can you hear my cat? I used to have one cat. Looks like now I have 2 cats. Okay. It's simple. So another thing that I know that I just came to me was just right now in this second. Okay, about values. I'm gonna use this darker color. I'm gonna have ultramarine blue and alizarin crimson. Okay, you gotta remember this. Every time, without seeing a face or a photograph, you're gonna see some darker spots on every portrait. It's gonna be here. Okay, it's gonna be here. It's gonna be here. Here, and sometimes it's here. In this case, yeah, I see a little bit of that. Okay, so those are some darker spots that if we check out just some photographs, check out photographs maybe from my videos or photographs that you have painted before, and look for those darker spots. You're gonna see a pattern, and obviously that's because of the anatomy of the face. Here there's a depression there. Here's darker. Remember, the eye is a sphere. The light is coming from left. It's gonna be darker here. On this eye, the same is happening, but it's not that clear. But here's is a bit darker. There's a mid-tone on this area. Do you see it? Maybe somebody can see it. Yes, because you know this area there is a depression. Another landmark here. This one. This is for the eye socket. Okay, now in my head, I just love to see this. There's some here. I love to see or try to identify those landmarks. For example, I see the eyebrow here, and I notice this bump, and I know that I'm seeing the bone. And for me, it's just like I see that, and I want to sculpture it. Like, wow, that's rounded. And I'm thinking, oh, I gotta be sure you know about something. The light here and the light here should be lighter than the light on the upper eyelid. Okay. Now, so many times I added the light on the upper eyelid really bright. Remember that this is an eye socket. The eye is a sphere. It's inside the eye socket. Is, you know, the upper part of the eye socket, this portion, is coming forward. It's protecting the eye. Okay, now, another thing that you gotta see here, we gotta look for is a coarse shadow. A coarse shadow is a darker shadow in this area. Remember the coarse shadow, okay? There is a coarse shadow here too, but it's pretty subtle. Coarse shadow, we used to call it form shadow. It's just a difference on the value that shows that the form is turning. Okay? It's just that. The only thing that, okay, let me rephrase it. If you paint this area completely flat, it means that this surface is flat like the canvas. But you want to make it turn, you gotta think, okay, I gotta do something here. Maybe this color make it warmer, and this color make it cooler. Okay? It could be the same value, but cooler. Just by changing that, this cooler and this warmer, you're creating something different there. The illusion that this is turning. Now, what else you gonna do? The coarse shadow. Do you really see it? No, I don't see it. But do you know it's there? Yeah. Try to paint it. It's kind of difficult when we paint something that we know but we don't see. You're using your knowledge, not your eyes, because it's tricky to see. What else do you know? Okay, anatomy again. I think about this. Here, I want to see this. Why? I have seen this so many times when I study anatomy, and I know that this is the cheekbone. There's a depression there. Okay, here's gonna be the same. Do I see it clearly? No. Do I need to paint it in this area? No, that's not necessary. You know, the face is turning to that side. It's not really necessary. We don't need it to get a representation of the volume on those side of the face. But here, we need it. What's going to be the color here? Now, here's the question. Should be warmer than this? Should be cooler? Sometimes, we got something that's a bit different from the rules. Color theory rules that says light is warm, shadow is cool. Everything depends on the light and how the light is affecting. And the reflected light, I mean something, some object, something that's closer, to the face, the ambient light, all of those things. Hello, Jonas. Oh, Mark is saying I can hear the cat. You should paint your cat. Oh, maybe, yeah. Hi, Fernando. Fernando is saying hi from Brazil. Hi from Peru. Yeah, maybe, yeah. I'm gonna paint the cat. Indra Nibi gonna paint. There is a link just there in the comments that goes to my Patreon. We paint Saturdays. We paint portraits for like 5 hours. We paint every Saturday. Let's say, okay, to be clear, 4 Saturdays per month, because sometimes if a month has 5 Saturdays, we skip 1 Saturday. The cost is right now $120. Just $120. Just it's up to 10 people. To be honest, I didn't check out, but I think we are 9 right now in the group. You just go to the link, and if you join, somebody joins today, let's say, you're gonna have your 4 lessons. It's not like you gotta wait for the first day of the month. Okay. And for the people that wants to paint anything, different subjects, Fridays, tomorrow we paint, maybe we're gonna paint a landscape. I don't know, I didn't choose the image yet, but we paint still life, landscapes. And for tomorrow, it's just $9 per month. But the difference is obviously if that sometimes there are more than 10 people. When there's less people, obviously I can just check out the paintings slowly. Yeah, because we paint, and what we do there is just I share my WhatsApp number, and I got the photographs there. Imagine this: you're painting, you take a picture, you send me, and I do some paint overs with Photoshop. You see them, and we continue working. And I do that with everybody in the group, and we continue painting. And people just, as they progress, they send me their paintings. I see them, I point out mistakes, I give some advice on things that you could just do to improve and to stop, let's say, repeating those mistakes. And just like that, the classes are just like that. And by the way, if somebody just go to Patreon, you can join as a free member. You can see, like, I have like four lessons, free lessons. They are recording that are open there. Okay, let me see. I need to see my reverse window. Oh, hello, Medik. Iranian man from Sweden. Nice to meet you. A little piece of advice. I was starting with a portrait recently, trying to copy what I saw in the picture, but I didn't look in right. So I decided to paint using what I know. It worked. Oh, that's pretty good. Silism, yeah. Oh, Mark is saying the cat won't steal won't sit still for long enough to paint it. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah. DK Palmer saying, if you learn from him by yourself, you only pay the price of work and effort. Uh, uh, yeah, I don't get it. Yeah, the thing is that the idea about painting together is just to, I think it works more for kind of just to, sometimes we need to paint with people to push ourselves to paint. Sometimes we need that. Sometimes it's necessary that. And I think for what I see, some people just enjoy that, love that. I love that myself because every class for me is a new practice, it's a new painting done, it's a new challenge. It's to apply what I know every session. Okay. I test myself. That one thing that I love about painting or about the classes is that I test myself. If I'm able, even one day that I feel blue, I feel down, I feel under the weather. If I'm able to pull off a portrait, just applying what I know, I think my knowledge is strong enough to work without my feelings, my emotions, which kind of pretty difficult to detach. But sometimes it's good to know that you have enough knowledge to make things work. That's not the goal, okay? Because the beauty about painting is just enjoying the process, enjoying the feeling. It's pretty rewarding when maybe the process is not rewarding because we struggle, in the process. By getting your painting after a couple of hours taking form, it feels pretty good. After seeing that your painting maybe for 2 hours that it stays on an ugly stage where you wanna change things, but you're not able to do it yet and don't see the changes. I think that's the reason why we paint every day. I mean, that's the reason why I paint. It's just I love to see the evolution, the process. That's why I love these sessions, these live streams. I see my painting and I know my painting is in a, let's say, ugly stage. That's why we all refer to that way, that we see mistakes, we see something is off. We know that we're gonna move forward to fix things, but we need to get used to just to the process, to the normal process of seeing the painting from the drawing to the ugly stage and it's trying to take form. That's pretty nice. Let me check out the comments. Are you seeing the photograph on my window? Oh, hello, Indra. Hello, hello, Heather. Saying I watch on Apple TV, but you cannot see me, so I will watch you in two places. Okay. Hello, Cosimo. Oh, Michael is saying, plus you make good friends and have fun. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, let me continue. Let me check out here. Yes, I pause from time to time because I gotta move things on here on my window to see everything, to see the photograph, to see the comments. Oh, a nice comment here. Oh, hello, Mahnak Lak. Heather is saying from Iran too. Welcome. Heather is saying, if my painting looks like a monster after 30 minutes or so, I know I'm on the right path. Yeah. 2 minutes after 30 minutes, yeah, you know that you gotta just fix something. I'm mixing black and white and burnt sienna. I want a value here. First, I'm thinking about this. This value has to be darker than this one as a value. Okay. If it's too light or lighter than the face, it doesn't mean that's a mistake, but that's gonna be a different composition, a different way to balance the painting. What I see on the photograph that the background is lighter than the face, and I want to keep that. Okay. Now I need to see it here. Step away. Yeah, that's good. Now, after painting the background, then you could say you can just start judging or saying if you need to do some changes to the color, or how many you're gonna change the skin color you have. Okay, because first, without painting the background, I'm pretty sure if somebody's painting or somebody's gonna paint with this video, you're gonna see that the skin color, it looks like kind of grayish, and after a few minutes it looks like it becomes like more like a skin color, maybe not the one that you wanted. It becomes more like a skin color, and that's happening because you painted the background. Okay, I'm mixing some green. I wanna just a bit more greenish color here, just a little bit of paint, because I'm planning to mix this with green to green down the background just a bit. Maybe after I'm done adding this green, you're not gonna notice that there is a little bit of green there, but I know it's there. Okay. And I know, for example, that if I make this greenish, the face is gonna look a bit reddish. Why? Simultaneous contrast. So many things, yeah? So many things to think about when we paint. But when you practice and practice, you don't think about those things anymore. This just kind of becomes a second nature. That's the good thing about practicing. The good thing about, for me, to be here painting is that I love just to share what I do, and that's a way to reinforce my knowledge and reinforce my steps during the process, which is pretty good for me. Okay, now you can see that I'm not speaking about likeness. Obviously, I'm copying from the photograph. I'm trying to get the likeness, but it's not something that I could think about, or I could just think in a way that, oh, is the eyes more like that, more like this? The eye doesn't look like that. It looks older. It looks younger. No, I'm thinking, is this shadow dark enough? Okay, that's what I'm thinking. Is this light enough? Okay, I'm not thinking this color is just too orangey. It's too dark. Oh, no, that's not what you should be thinking of this process. First, values, okay, and then you're gonna have enough time to do retouches. Now, that's the process, and you're gonna hear people saying respect the process. That's what we mean when we say respect the process. The process tells you, okay, measure. In that way, you're gonna have a face that's gonna look good. Check out values, because that's gonna guarantee you, okay, a good volume and the illusion of three-dimensionality. Think about anatomy, or study anatomy, let's say, because when you know anatomy, it's gonna feel that you're not painting just the surface. You're gonna get the feeling that you can see the bond beneath. Okay, that's what we want. That's what we do on every class. Okay, now here I can just start changing the color a bit. For example, I could make this a bit warmer. You can add yellow and red, or you can just add orange to your palette. You're gonna make things easier. I think I got a little bit of orange here. Oh yeah, I got a little bit from, okay, on this painting. Okay, this is the painting that I showed you a minute ago. That's from yesterday class, and I got a little bit of orange here, just a little bit. And that's what I do with the leftovers. Okay? I got a little bit of this vivid pink. This one, I love it. I'm gonna put it here. I don't use that much of that color. I got cerulean blue. I don't think I'm gonna use cerulean blue today. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this cerulean blue is gonna end up in my other palette. Okay. Ooh, there's some painting on my hand. 1 second. Okay. It seems you play with paints and brushes, so good to see. Hey. Gary, you're saying, have you ever tried oil pastels? If not, could you, and what paper would you use? Yeah, I never tried oil pastels, and I don't know what paper I would use. I think the first thing that I could use, are just gonna be like a regular thicker paper, like paper for watercolor with a little bit of texture. A little bit of texture, a little bit of the tooth. That's what I think. But definitely I need to investigate about that. What papers use. It's gonna be easier to for buying the right paper and not struggle investigating what paper to use. Or trying and yeah. We could save a lot of time just by seeing some people that have specialized with oil pastels. At this stage, because I love expressionist painting, I think this painting is amazing. Oh, thank you, Annette. Let me see it. You know, so many times I have go back on my videos, and I noticed that I loved when I was like, just let's pick a painting that took me 3 hours, and I looked the stage of the painting at 2 hours mark, and it's so clear for me that I did overworked the painting too much. But at that point, for me, it was the good thing to do. Yeah. The thing is that we cannot go back in time to change things. And obviously, if I want to get something done on that specific style, maybe I would just think about staying more just in one stage and don't move ahead. And that's what I see, for example, when we study Sargent's paintings. You see a Sargent painting that looks like it stays in a stage where it's simple. It looks so economic on the brush strokes. It looks like it's just, he has chosen the only few brush strokes that there are needed to represent a face. No more, no less. Okay, going back to the painting, I'm adding light here, and I know you can see it's a bit warmer. You see the color here? It has more orange. Okay. And where I'm adding lights? Here, cheekbone. Here's still the cheekbone that going up. Here there's a plane. It's a little bit lighter. Remember that goes like this around it. light here. Everybody touch your face in this area. Where is the eyebrow? You can notice the bump, the bone. Okay, here a little bit of light. See how clear is the light on the nasal bone. Okay, and it goes a little bit like that. A lot of these brush strokes are gonna be maybe be gone as I continue painting on top. It doesn't matter. I keep every time thinking about why I'm laying down these brush strokes. Why I'm doing that? Because anatomy, because the form requires a value there. Okay, all that information is on the photograph and is on my knowledge, half and half. Okay. Oh, Mark is saying I use watercolor paper with tooth for my oil pastels. Okay, that's a good. Hello, Manuel. Yeah. Vicky saying, why do master oil painters mix a subject's complementary color into its shadow value rather than using flat black pigments? Yeah, that's a formula. You know, when you're gonna mix a darker color or the shadow one color, you just mix the color with the complementary color, with its complementary color. Okay, and that's when you have the shadow of the color. But that's a rule that is pretty useful. Okay, that's the principle to understand, one of the fundamentals to understand light and shadows. But that rule is not taking into account few things, like for example, ambient light. Ambient light could change the skin color, and sometimes could change it a bit. Could change the temperature of the shadow. Okay, and how strong or how warm or cool is the light, the main light, is going to change the skin color. For example, when the light is warmer, it's pretty, let's say, pretty warm, pretty strong. Okay, you know that effect, this subsurface scattering that happens when the light hits a translucent thing, gets into the surface and is come out. That's why we see there's the reddish colors on the skin. By the way, it's time for me to paint the reddish colors on the skin. Okay, the light hits here and comes out reddish. Why it comes out reddish? First, because obviously those areas of the face are reddish, because that's the anatomy of our face, blood vessels and all of that. That's the anatomy of the face. But light is gonna make this looks a bit more reddish or a bit less reddish. Okay, if, like I said before, those are the things that I'm gonna change a bit the fundamentals that we all studied. I'm not saying that the fundamentals are not useful. No. Fundamentals are there. That's the first step on the learning process. As we continue learning, we learn that there is more. We gotta always start the learning process with less information. And as we just continue growing, we add more information. Yeah, like for example, for me, when I was a student, it was about light and shadow. Everything for me was light and shadow, light and shadow. And not just for me, for my friends. Light and shadow, and then temperature. Warm, cool, warm, cool. How I get the shadow of a color, mix it with its complementary color. Perfect. It worked. Okay, and then after painting more of that, then it was introduced simultaneous contrast, and was like, what's that? And I was just explaining something that you've been doing, but it was just too early for me to know it. And when I got the point, the teacher started to teach simultaneous contrast. And I was like, do I need that? Yeah, you need it. And then ambient light. I say, okay, now what's that? Reflected light. And that's, you know, changing more and more, adding more info, which is good. Okay? And that's what happens. The fundamentals of this rule about just mixing a complementary color to get a shadow works pretty good. But don't stay there. You gotta move ahead to add more info. It's not like the information is gonna replace what you know about the fundamental. No, no. It's just gonna add more. Just that. We are not saying that, oh, this is not good info. No, no. There's not such thing like maybe some mistakes or right or wrong on painting. You just got more info all the time. And one thing that I learned as a teacher more than a student is that, and I did remember that because I started to teach in a school of art here in my country. And I remember when I started, I got the curriculum. There is a name for that here. I don't know if there is a translation. There's some kind of a net where everything is interconnected. Drawing with a sculpture, with painting. That was pretty amazing. And you can see the evolution. It was like, I want to teach the students anatomy. It was like, not yet. Okay, you gotta wait. They need to first grow their visual skills. Otherwise, they're not gonna understand anatomy. It's not gonna be that useful for them. Okay, it doesn't sound fair for me, but it looks like we gotta train our eyes first to see more. And then when we see more, we started to recognize things when anatomy came into place. Yeah? And then what else? Color theory. At the beginning, everything is about just black and white. That was pretty amazing when I remember just my first days as a teacher, and I was just kind of questioning because I was told you can add something, okay, to this, your own knowledge. And I was like, yeah, I want to teach more. And I was saying, oh, I want to teach this. And every time that I suggested something, they was like, no, we cannot teach that. Why? Not yet. Not yet. You gotta wait. Okay, that was pretty funny. I learned with time that you gotta kind of respect the process, respect the normal evolution. Okay. Another thing that I learned when I was a teacher, it was just to live under extreme cold weather, because the School of Art was on the Sierra here, the upper part of the country. It's really cool. You know, sometimes you go to the faucet in the kitchen to open, you know, to get some water, and nothing come out. I say, what happened? The water just got frozen. You gotta wait a little bit. It's beautiful, beautiful place. I would love to go back one day. When I was a teacher at that time, I did it because of the money. I needed, you know, I needed some income at that time. But, you know, I would love to go back, not for the money, just for the experience. It's just the place, the city, the town. It was a town, this little town. And something different about maybe even the students there. they wanted to learn because of the joy of learning, of painting. Okay, I'm gonna add some highlight here and there because I wanna see some highlights. Okay, it's not gonna be the color right now, it's just pure white, but I need to establish those landmarks here and there. Cheekbone, this area here, the mouth, the chin. Okay. Now I need a little bit of blending to soften the expression. Okay. Let me look for my blending brush. Okay, here it is. Let me see some comments. Okay, hello Kathy. Feel free to ask me some questions. Okay. Maybe you notice that I don't read the comments so often, but just write the questions. I could go over there and see them and try to answer all the questions. Oh, to complete this question, the Big Smart saying why don't they use black, to paint or to darken up the colors? Yeah, here's the thing that when somebody is a beginner, usually every teacher is gonna say don't use black. Okay, because as a beginner, in our head, when we are beginners, we think, how am I gonna darken up a color? I'm gonna just add black. How I'm gonna light up a color? I'm just gonna add white. Okay, the problem with that is overdoing that, and then we end up with colors that looks too grayish, and we are not able to control the colors. They look just too mute. Okay, it's more of that. But when you see professional painters, especially portrait painters or painters that paint human figure, you're gonna see that each one of their palettes, there is always black. Look, maybe I haven't seen no portrait painter that don't use black. Each one of those painters use black. Speaking about painters that I have seen on YouTube, I'm speaking about painters that from history. Okay, each single one uses has used black, but you're not gonna see a landscape painter using black. Yeah, that's good. When I love to paint landscapes too, not as much as I should. It's just because I don't have that much time. I just paint landscapes just Friday classes, and not all Fridays, because for Fridays, we paint one Friday, let's say still life. The next Friday we paint a landscape. The next Friday we study a little bit of perspective using an urban landscape. And the thing is that when I paint landscapes, I don't use black. When I paint portraits, okay, I would feel that my palette is incomplete if I don't have black on the palette. Man, I have that feeling that, hey, I need black. Maybe it's gonna be about that something that you are used to use. I don't know, an explanation about why you think something's gonna work. There's no reason why I'm saying that, because at the same time I know that I could just paint a portrait, get away with a kind of portrait just using raw umber and ultramarine blue to get my darker values. That means that, do I need necessarily black? Yeah. let's say that I need personally black, even that I know that if I don't have it, I can just replace it. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Deborah. Hi, Fito. Hi. Celisan, it's hard to fix mistakes in oil. I only have experience with acrylics. Oh, no. Yeah, I paint with acrylics too. And the thing is that, yeah, you know, it's just about, I could say you need to get used to the material first in order to know how easy or how hard. Since I paint with acrylics too, I find that both are just kind of have the same difficulty to fix mistakes, because it's not like one is easier. No, it's not. It's not that the one is easier than the other. I think both are just have the same difficulties. Now the thing is that is about what you're going to need to fix, because one thing is fixing a proportion on the face. Proportion on the face that doesn't have to do anything with acrylics or oils or anything. That has to do with the drawing stage, with understanding the proportions and practice the proportion good enough to the point that it becomes second nature and you don't make mistakes, or at least not so often. Okay? Now, value mistakes, the ones that are pretty important, because remember that values are these little things. For example, here, if I paint the nose, for example, I'm going to do something here. If I make this too dark, that's a value mistake. And that's affecting directly the likeness. Why? Because that affects the expression, the midtone there. Yeah? Now, the thing is that it doesn't matter about if it's acrylic or oil or watercolor. That is a value mistake. And when it's a value mistake, the best way to improve that is drawing. Why drawing? Because when we draw, we don't have the excuse of that we're trying to match the color. Since there's no color, okay, it's like our brain, it doesn't have where to go, it just stays with values in order to represent the form. Right? Okay, that's mostly that. Now, what other mistakes we could have? Brush strokes. Well, I don't think that's kind of that has something that has to do with, you know. The only thing that I see a difference, speaking about mistakes, but mistakes that has to do with how natural the face of the portrait looks in terms of atmosphere and all of that, then I would say that these things about edges, which are responsible for that, then I would say that it's easier with oils. Yeah? Because everything is wet, and as you can see here right now, I'm just softening everything. With acrylics, the problem is that we need to change the plan. What is my plan when I paint with acrylics? I don't use a kind of a linear approach, and when I paint, I'm thinking about getting some kind of blurriness. Everything is blurry. Everything is soft. Why? Because I want to just move from, something that's softer and blurry, and to start choosing where I'm going to place sharper edges. With oil, I can have right now a painting that looks pretty sharp, but I know that at some point I'm going to soften edges here and there. Okay, that's the difference. That's mostly the difference. And now it's a difference on the approach. on how you plan ahead the process, that's going to affect the result. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Now, why I love acrylics too, because they dry faster. You know, the reason why I find them then a bit more difficult than oils is because they dry faster, but at the same time, the reason why I love them is because of the same reason. Why? Because that allows me to add more layers, that allows me to glaze and don't wait a lot of time for the first layer of the paint to dry. And a glaze is an advantage when you want to change colors, you want to make adjustments on values, and you want to make it then easier. With oils, if you want to make an adjustment to some values, you're going to need to repaint those values, repaint a complete shadow, and sometimes repaints that it adds an extra struggle because you notice that, hey, I'm painting this and not getting to the darker value. What's happening? Well, what's happening that you experience it wet on wet paint, okay? And experiencing how the paint get mixed there on, not just on the palette, on the canvas. And that's something that maybe you're not used to expect. Like you're mixing this color here, you're spending a lot of time mixing this color, one color on the palette, and then you put it on the canvas, and then you move the brush, you know, to get the placement of that brush stroke, and all of a sudden the color looks different. It's because the surface is wet. Yeah. It's just that another thing that happens that so many times we paint something and we paint something more, and all of a sudden we didn't realize, and some light that we have over here, over there, is gone. So what happened? I'm pretty sure I painted that. Yeah. Okay, here I on the nose, and I wanna make it a little bit reddish, but pay attention. For example, if you study anatomy of the nose, you're gonna notice that there is this in the center of the nose. Every nose has that because of the cartilage. Do you see that on the photograph? Okay. Now, there and there, that's the cartilage, okay? You need to soften that. But you can see it, how clearly is the cartilage. There. And then it goes up here. Here, this portion there, I'm painting right now here, is the nasal bone. Okay, if I add a little bit of red here, that's the subsurface scattering light that's getting through the skin and just coming out on the edge a little bit more saturated. Beautiful. No, I mean not beautiful my painting. What I meant is beautiful just to know those things. Yeah, that's that's good. You know, this just feels that even if my painting doesn't come out the way I want it, I know that all my knowledge is there on each painting, and it makes me feel good about that. And adding this, I laying down these brush strokes, not just copying what I see on the photograph. I'm gonna get this rounded form too. Okay. That's what I mean when you need to copy what you see, and at the same time that you copy what you see, think about what is beneath, or what is the form or the shape of that area, and how you're gonna represent that the volume on that area. You start to look for more things to see. For example, here, there's a core shadow there, just slightly core shadow. Okay, here there is a mid-tone. Okay. Why? Because the score, it has that depression on that area. Okay. Now the good thing is about two things, a combination of two things. What I know, what tells me what to see, what to look for on the image, and just see that on the image. I actually see it and I say, that's good. That's a match between something that you know and that you see. Okay, here, core shadow. Here is this mid-tone. That's the depression, just here. I don't know if you see on my face. Can you see it on my face? This here. We will have that. That's the bottom of the cheekbone. Okay. Vicky saying, how does the principle of applying thin transparent oil glazes prevent a shadow from looking chalky, opaque, or lifeless? Yeah, for example, you have a shadow that's kind of milky, opaque. If you add, imagine orange, okay, that color is gonna just glow. It's gonna look different after that. A simple glaze. A simple glaze could fix a color so easily. Okay. Hi, Nolan. But it's just it's amazing how a glaze could just fix the color or change the color. No, not this one. I need a clean brush. Okay, one thing here. I can see a sharp edge here. Okay, you see that? I can see a sharp edge here. Okay, I need to make it a bit darker. There. Okay, I see a core shadow here. Okay, now the nostrils, we need to paint them just with a dark red. Even when you see them, they look pretty dark. Remember, that's just skin, and skin is translucent. The light is showing, it's just coming through the skin. Okay, a bit of a cool color. I need some blue. Okay, I think I'm gonna use cerulean blue from yesterday class. Okay, here I have cerulean blue. A little bit of linseed oil, alizarin crimson, white. Okay, I clean the brush. I don't want too much paint on my brush. You need to narrow the face here. Something is not good on the edge. I'm gonna soften the edge. Here you can see this depression. Now there is two muscles on each side of the chin. The name of the muscle are mentalist muscles. Okay, and that creates that subtle depression here. Okay. Sharp edge there. Now for the mouth, a sharp edge here. I need to soften here and there. Let me think. Need a smaller brush. I use black with alizarin and crimson. Paint the shadow here. Want a really sharp edge. Okay, I'm gonna use this darker color with more alizarin and crimson. I wanna paint the eyelashes here. Just a bit. Just there. And now just here. Just there. Okay. A little bit of red. Here, a coarse shadow. Okay. Corner of the mouth. Yeah, I don't want to paint the mouth too sharp. I want to paint it kind of soft and blurry. Now remember this area here, shadow, there's a depression there. And we have this here for a muscle here. This here for a muscle here. This goes like this, and a muscle here. Okay. Now, we see, for example, the planes of the face. Here we can see this light that goes like this, and it looks like goes like this. Okay. On that area, there's just one muscle that goes like that. Just there. And then there's another muscle next to that one that goes to this area. That's the zygomaticus major and zygomaticus minor. Okay. Around the mouth, all this area is the orbicularis oris. Below the corner of the mouth, okay, that goes the risorius muscle, the zygomaticus muscle, the pressor anguli oris on the corner. All those muscles create those bumps and those shapes here. Okay, we need to try to insinuate a little bit of those. Some loose brush strokes, something, but we need to create that. For example, here next to the nose, here, okay, that's the bone. That's the levator. Levator that goes like this all the way down to the mouth. Okay. Now you see a little bit of the light here? A bit of light here, like this. Now, what we see in there is the inner portion of the bone there. That's the name. Sorry, I cannot think sometimes while I'm trying to look for a brush or a color. The eye socket. Okay, here, that little light shows the eye socket. Okay, this mid-tone here show basically the muscle that is just on top of the eye. Oh, that's too dark. Yeah, here too. Okay. Again, this is what? Okay. Here too, a plane. All of those things are because of the bones and the muscles. Bones and muscles. Okay, for the eyebrow, a little bit of a sharp edge here, just a bit. Okay. Okay, let's see the comments. What's the name of your cat? Oh, the name of it says, it's just like, what's going to be a name? It's just like little one, Chiquita, little one. Marco, thank you. Yeah, that's not like a name, eh? Okay, now as we continue painting, we could just continue changing the colors. You realize that from the first layer where I mixed it just a burnt sienna and a white and ultramarine blue, we add more and more colors, and as we add more colors, we can change temperature of the light, because we basically add a lot of paint, and every single new brush strokes to change the color. Okay, look at that yellowish color there. A bit more here, a touch here. Okay, that keeps changing the skin color. Now, if you don't like it, you can just add some pink. I love this pinky color. This is vivid rose. Okay, what about there? A little bit darker here. A bit of yellow. And you add more of one, more of the other color. The beauty is that, you know, every brush stroke kind of helps the other one to look better. Or sometimes you could change it too much, but that happens. And as you continue working, soften edges. Now for that, you're gonna need a really good soft brush. I got this one. I have a oh, I forget something. I did just this one to, I think, to wipe off the charcoal drawing. I think it looks like it has a little bit of charcoal, but I don't like it. This one. I like this one. This one is my brush for blending. I was thinking to move my camera a little bit up. This one, where you see me. You know, because I always blocking my face with the camera, but if I was thinking I want to move the camera up, but then I thought, okay, that's what I'm gonna show my face on my my head without hair, and I decided just to keep it like that. Okay. Now, blending is beautiful too. It's beautiful. I love blending. The problem with blending is that all the things that we've been doing are in danger right now to just be blown away. Okay, you gotta be careful with blending. Even that, it makes the painting beautiful. You could blend away just some necessary midtones that are gonna show the volume of the face. But if that happens, you know, that's the only thing that we could do is just paint those midtones again. Those midtones, those are the ones that represents those little ups and downs on the face because of the anatomy of the face. Okay? That's the problem. Blending sometimes could make the painting look flat, could make the face look flat. I would rather prefer to have a painting that looks blurry than flat. But it doesn't mean that it's not okay to blend. I have, if you go on my YouTube channel, you're gonna see that I have a lot of paintings where I have spent a lot of time blending. Okay? But thinking about just somebody that first wants to improve on drawing and values and anatomy and the way of the mindset that you need to get a portrait done, I would say that the last thing that you should be worried about is blending. You're not gonna need blending too. Okay, blending is not gonna, let's say, add some more to the painting. What's gonna add more to your portrait is always check out that the proportions are good and keep learning, you know, how to see as a painter, how you understand what you see in a way of not thinking that, not thinking just that you need to match a color perfectly. No, think to see what is beneath the surface. Why so many values are just a bit warmer, a bit cooler? Why so many colors should be, you know, all those things, huh, that I've been mentioning during the live stream. Okay, need to clean the brush. I'll reflect the light on the lip. A little bit of light here. Light half of the lip. But let's see if I can show some of her teeth a bit. Oh, by the way, you know that you have my Patreon. You have a couple of ebooks that I have. One is just tips, painting tips for portrait painters, and the other one is color harmony. Okay, for portrait painters. You find the link just there in the description box. Just ebooks, PDF. You can find them in Amazon and in my website. But the link is to my website. Okay. What else I have? I gotta say, you know. Oh, I got a membership on my YouTube channel. You can join as a member of my channel and get access to some recorded lessons from my Patreon classes. And you can join my Patreon as a free member because I post the link to this video on Patreon too. Maybe some people sometimes I mean not lately, but a few times I got people saying, "Hey, I didn't get the notification for the live stream." If you join as a free member on my Patreon, you're gonna have an option to get, you know, the notification from Patreon too, not just from YouTube. There's something about the hair that I'm planning to do. It's just these tools that I was showing before. Okay, because look at this. But this could work because of my canvas, okay? And the beauty about this it could be the transparency. It's just gonna take me a lot of back and forth until I got the color I want. But I want to keep it simple. That means that I don't want to add more details. Maybe with that, maybe it could be good enough for now. Let's see. Let's wait. I gotta wait. I gotta just continue working on the face. Here too, I can just do this. Doesn't look that orangey here. I can add a little bit of orange on top. Okay. I just soften the edge. Okay, I can use it again here. I love it, I love it. Yeah, kind of work. I love the contrast. It's a transparent color. Transparent color is always beautiful. Sometimes we don't want a transparent color. Sometimes we want a solid color. Thicker paint, but let's see. Let's see. Bit more yellow to the face. Need to add some lights here. Okay, about the reddish shadow on here, it looks too red. A bit of yellow. That's the problem we mix orange with black. That was black. You get greenish color. A little bit of burnt sienna here. Hello, Sylvia. Thank you, Renato. Add more blue to the cool side of the face. What if I add some pure cerulean blue here? What do you think? I like it, but no, not the way I want it. Too bluish on the forehead. A bit of raw umber. Need more contrast here. Going pretty lightly on the surface here. Pretty lightly. Here too. Right now I'm thinking about the edges, and if the nose is coming forward, if I got some of the anatomy of the face, a little bit of light here. Okay, a highlight to the nose. It's really bright, but I like it. A little bit of light to the white of the eye, just the corner, just here. It's too bright. Some black. I got some gray here, just to draw the edge. Oh, I think I got something wrong with that eye. Yeah, let's move it a little bit to the right. I moved it too much to the left. Okay. Okay, where's my brush? Was using a brush for raw umber. Okay, here's raw umber. I'm gonna make it a little bit darker here and darker here. Okay, darker here, and I'm gonna use pure black here. Okay, I'm gonna blend it, the edge. Okay, one thing that I always try to do is not keep some variety on the edges. Okay, here I can keep a sharp edge, a little bit of white. Just there. Sharp, soft, soft. Okay. Now for the other side of the hair. Here I think everything is gonna be just soft. You know, something about the hair that is orange now. It's not orangey there. It seems like it's kind of just too distracting. Yeah, you know what? Even that I love it, I'm gonna knock down the hair. I would just love the transparency, but I need to knock it down. Yeah, I think that's better. Yeah. I really love the transparency, that orangey color, but you know, now that I knock down this, and I think I'm not gonna add all the lights that I see on the hair. Just I'm gonna add some lights, but some kind of mute lights, because something that I don't know if you noticed that now I can see the face. I'm not so distracted by the colors. Even this orange here, which I love it, it's pretty transparent. I'm gonna knock down that shadow. Maybe see a little bit of that transparent color. That's gonna be enough. Okay. Now here, some light here. Soften here. Oops, too light. I need a light here, but it has to be subtle. Just a bit subtle. Just enough to show the face is rounded. The color on the edge is a little bit cooler. Just enough, okay? I'm thinking by adding this just to have some balance between what is here and this area, because here is everything blurry, and I think I need something to open the composition. Stays here. Okay, now this is gonna be soft, lost, kind of lost. Okay, now when choosing to keep sharp, lost, a little bit lost too. Kind of the hair getting into the shoulder, onto the shoulder. Okay, now squinting down my eyes. Oh, one thing that I saw right now, the last minute, is the nose. This subtle touch here. Yeah. And here, it's really warm touch. Okay. I need to see the ear. Okay. Let's see. Thank you, Jonas. Oh, Deborah's asking me, does your portrait book list all the muscles on the face? No. No, it's more like just tips. I did that book thinking more about to having next to your easel, and thinking like go on every page and find a tip, like something. Check out the alignment of the eyes. Check out the light is warm, cool. Check out that there is one muscle, the bone here. I don't mention all the muscles. I got one that I show one of my paintings. Half is the score, and the other half is the painting, the portrait. And then I added a light here and a light here, and you can see why the light is here. The cheekbone, and here you see the bone. And it's made more like it has 60 of my paintings, because all the things that I have done are with my paintings, all the tips. Oh, Michael is saying, I see you still don't like painting ears. Yeah, yeah. Don't tell anyone. Gary said, is it my vision, or does the picture looks more like a blonde and the painting is more red hair? Yeah, well, it was like red hair. Now it looks like more like a blonde. Yeah, I was just like, I love the transparency when I scraped the paint, and I wanted to keep it. Now remember that I'm copying the photograph, but I always wanna get the likeness. That's all. We always wanna get the likeness, but uh, it's not like something that I should be completely worried about. It's something that, let's say that by paying attention to these little things like values, changes here and there, I expect the likeness just happens naturally. No, I mean, it's not completely true, but as I continue paying attention, I don't want to just stop and think, oh, I didn't get this, and I want to pay all my attention to just to this smaller area because I want to just get the likeness just there. No, I don't want to think about that. I think if you see the whole process and not just this painting, I don't speaking about likeness during the whole process, but there's be one point obviously that I'm gonna pay extra attention to the shape of the eyes, all of that. I'm not saying that I'm not paying attention. I'm just saying that I'm leaving that working on a second or third plane in my head, and I'm thinking about the anatomy. I'm thinking about planes, about light, temperature. Okay. If you go all over my video, you're gonna notice that I speak more about more about values than anything. It's just like everything is about values, values, values. Yeah. Okay. Darker, the shadows, midtones. You can summarize everything, and you notice that everything mostly is about that. And I kind of trust everything on values, even likeness. Trying to get the proportions. Paint should always be applied thick. Renato Fuentes asking me, if we think about the rules, what happened with my cat? Okay. If we follow the rules, the rule says the shadows should be thin and lights should be thick. The paint, just to keep the shadows transparent. Yeah. But the thing is, you're gonna see a lot of painters doing not applying those rules, applying the painting on their own way, and you're gonna see amazing paintings. And that means that, yeah, it's just like it's up to anyone, it's up to any painter. And this is more about the results than more about following the fundamentals, all of them. Okay, we try to follow most of the fundamentals, that's for sure. Some of them are just, let's say that we can skip on some, like being so strict about keeping the shadows transparent and the lights opaque. Okay, sometimes it's just difficult to do all those things at the same time. But the thing is, another thing is that any darker color that doesn't have too much white, it's gonna be definitely more transparent than any lighter color, because a lighter color usually has more white, and it means that the color is more opaque. Yeah, that's gonna be always the same case. Okay, let me see. Um, I got the muscles values. Yeah, no. What just I mentioned because it gave you an idea about what I'm thinking. Yeah, I got the muscles. I see, the muscles. I see the values. I didn't mention I see the likeness. It looks like hair completely. The color is exactly the same color as the photograph. That's not what I think. I'm not saying that I'm not paying attention to that. That is not there. I'm just trying to explain that what I think. Okay, and then again, I'm thinking, okay, this should be lighter here. It should be lighter and a bit warmer. Okay, is this lighter than the other one? Is this warmer? Maybe it's too orangey. Okay, if it's too orangey, it could be a good idea to echo the color here. Okay. A little bit of this blue. Hello, Monique. Okay, I think we're getting to the end. Yeah. Oh, it's squinting down my eyes and okay, I'm gonna knock down this little light here, a little bit of pink. There. I love it, but I think I should knock it down that a bit. Okay. Okay, and about to wrap it up here. There is this little things that it's the wood that was flying around my studio. Okay, I'm almost done. Okay, any last questions? Thank you, Monique. Thank you, Deborah. Okay, I think, let me check out the time. It's been like 2 hours. I think it's a good time. Here, I think I gotta stop because here's where maybe I'm gonna overdo it, or maybe I already overwork it. And I'm gonna just say that tomorrow when I see the painting. Okay, I think I'm gonna just soften the ear and I'm done. Yeah. Okay, that would be for today. I don't want to check out. I know that, and just maybe, and obviously, I choose to leave some things out all the time. We choose that when we paint at a prima. We cannot paint every detail. I choose to keep the more important things about some edges, some details on the eyes, some sharp edges here and there. The only problem is just overdo it. That's gonna be always the same issue when we paint in one session. Okay, one more thing I just need to do. Soften the eye here. Softening the eye. Oh, I think I just changed this too much. Oh, so difficult to work. A smaller area. I think I got one eye bigger than the other. Yeah, I think that's better. I'm gonna soften one eye and I'm done. Where's my brush for softening here and there? Okay, let me see. If I ruin this, I'm gonna cut this on the video at the end of the video. Okay. Just that. Okay, thank you so much, everybody. Take care, everybody. Oh, one more thing. The mouth here. Just one more, a little bit softer here. Just a bit. Yeah, I think I got expression, yeah, because she has expression. That's what I like about the photograph. You feel some little sadness there, just a bit, enough to make me feel something when I saw the image. Okay, that would be for today. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Okay. Remember to check out my ebooks. You can join as a member here on YouTube. You can paint along with me. Fridays, Saturdays, and Tuesdays. We paint the whole week. Take care, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Okay. See you next time. See you next week. Bye.